Don't make these mistakes when writing your literature review.
In this video, based on my experience of making decision on more than 1,000 submitted manuscripts to my journal every year, and also based on my experience of reviewing more than 100 PhD theses, I will share the 7 common mistakes that are made in writing a literature review. These mistakes can lead to paper rejections and concerns raised by thesis examiners. I will also share 7 secret tips that will help you significantly improve your literature review. These are the secrets that many top researchers use, but they don't share. Before we proceed, please support me by giving a like to this video and leaving a comment below. Your engagement helps this video reach more people and also motivates me to make more content like this for you in the future. Thank you very much for your support. Mistake number 7. Your literature review is biased. You need to include both theoretical and empirical research that supports and opposes your hypothesis and proposition. If there are theories or empirical studies that are against your hypothesis, explain the reason and why you state your hypothesis or proposition against them. This takes your work to the next level. Secret tip number 7. One of the most effective methods to achieve this is using a thematic approach, which involves categorizing the results of previous studies into 3 groups: studies that support your hypothesis, studies that present the results against your hypothesis, and studies that did not find any significant results. I have discussed the thematic approach in detail in my video titled How to Write a Literature Review. Please find the link to this video below. Mistake number 6. Missing recently published works. You need to demonstrate that you are aware of the current state of knowledge in your field. This means you should review recently published works in your field, of course if they are relevant. So ensure that your literature review includes an adequate number of recently published papers. Tip number 6. Just before submitting your paper, thesis, or final year project, take a moment and perform a quick search to find recently published articles that are relevant to your work. Incorporating these recent citations show that your work is up to date with the latest research in your field. Mistake number 5. Missing key seminal works. This is one of the areas that many emerging researchers and students get comments on, especially in the field of social sciences. Seminal works are articles and studies that initially presented an idea of great importance or influence within the discipline. These are studies or works that everyone expects to see cited in your work. Many examiners and reviewers conduct a quick screening to identify whether you have cited seminal works. Tip number 5. To ensure that you have included citations to seminal works in the earlier parts of your literature review. Seminal works are those that have been cited in many papers, books, and theses in your field. They are typically older but significant, as they have contributed to a high level of understanding in the field, initiated new path in the body of knowledge, or caused a paradigm shift in the discipline or field of your study. For example, if your research focuses on the relationship between attitude and behavior, ensure that you have cited several works by Adson. Mistake number 4. Referring to poor quality papers, journals, and resources. There are many journal articles and books published every year. However, many of them have not been properly reviewed, and some of them might have been published in predator journals. As a researcher, you need to carefully evaluate the quality of the publisher and journal and filter poor quality ones. Otherwise, you are building your work on poor research that has been published in poor quality journals or books. Prepare a list of good quality journals and stick to it. For example, Springer, Emerald, Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Wiley, Sage, Palgrave, Nature, Oxford Academics, and Cambridge University Press are among the good ones. You may also refer to the journal indexing databases such as Scopus, Web of Science, ABDC, PubMed, and EBSCO. It doesn't mean all good journals are indexed in these databases. Also, I don't mean all journals in these databases are considered as good quality journals. However, referring to these databases significantly reduce the risk of citing poor quality journals. Watch my video on assessing the quality of journal articles and use the 4 tips that I've shared to remove low quality papers from your literature and reference list. These will significantly improve your work in the eyes of reviewers and examiners. I will include the link to this video in the description below. Mistake number 3. Not highlighting the research gaps. The aim of reviewing the literature is to identify the research gaps. So keep this in mind and ensure that you have highlighted the research gaps and limitations of past studies in your literature review. Tip number 3. In your thesis, consider a separate section for research gaps at the end of your literature review chapter. If you are writing a paper, clearly state the term research gaps in the body of your literature review and explain how your work addresses them. Mistake number 2. disjointed review and lack of flow. Many literature reviews just describe what each study has found, one study after another. These reviews are choppy, unorganized, disjointed, and confusing. In other words, they don't flow well. This is about the way that your literature review holds together and moves from point to point. Different sentences, paragraphs, and sections of your literature review need to be connected and make a story that allows the reader to follow the flow of the argument. Tip number 2. Use a funnel model starting with the topic in a broader context and then narrow it down to the objectives of the study. Also, to write a strong literature review, use a thematic approach and put together the results of different studies by comparing and, where necessary, contrasting them to discuss each theme. Support each theme in the form of some sentences or paragraph with several references, rather than summarizing the past studies one by one, like according to Johnson 2020 and then the results of the Johnson's study, next according to Andrew 2022 and then the results of Andrew's study. I've shared the details in my video on how to write a literature review. Find the link in the description of this video. And finally, mistake number 1. Your literature review is not critical. This is a big issue in many theses and research papers. This means your literature review is just a summary of any books and any journal articles published on your topic. What you need to do is assessing the relevance and significance of those works to your topic, and on that basis decide whether or not to include them. Tip number 1. You should not review everything you find. Before including any paper, book, or even sentence in your literature review, critically consider its relevance and importance to your work. Be critical in selecting what you include in your literature review. If it's not critically important to your work, don't include it. So be critical, and when you need, kill your baby. If you found this video helpful, please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on publication and research in the future. Thank you very much for watching the video.